Hello and welcome to this video. I'm gonna cut through the intro. Not gonna do it because I kind of suck at intros. But today I am going to be doing a reaction, but it's not a first time reaction because I watched this interview last week when it aired. It's a Mickey Rourke interview, who is one of my favorite actors of all time. I fell so hardcore in love with his acting and his craft and himself, just him as a person, when I was in 2007 and 8 and 9. And those 3 years were very huge years for me and my development as a teen and a young woman. And Mickey Rourke really helped me. He, through his movies, through himself on screen, he helped me during those teenage years, and I am forever grateful for him. I did meet him one time 10 years ago at Equinox, and that was a very special day because I was talking to this actor and he introduced me to, he was talking to me about crystals, and that was the first time anyone talked to me about crystals, and he was really passionate about the crystals, this actor, and he was friends with Mickey Rourke, and Mickey came into Equinox and he was like, "Hey Mick," and they said hi, and I was like, I've never been annoying and impressed and like, oh my god, starstruck. I've never been like that. So I was just sitting there pretty, examining the whole situation, and we went back to talk about the crystals, and then I think Mickey Rourke was there with his trainer, and then he just went to work out, and I was just sitting at a table talking to this actor who introduced me to crystals. So I feel like I'm connected to Mickey Rourke. I hope to actually meet him one day, work with him. That would be just one of the greatest gifts, an honor and a privilege for me. But that's my intro on Mickey, and now I'm going to get to his interview that he recently did with Pierce Morgan, who I have mixed feelings about, but we're not going to talk about that. I watched the interview last week and it just hit me on a deep level. It reminded me why I fell in love, why I connected with Mickey Rourke in the first place years ago, half my life ago. I was 14. So yeah, 2008, I was 15. I was 14. 2007, 2008, yeah. So I was 14. I just felt so connected to him. And he's one of my favorite actors. He's done Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, The Wrestler, for which he was nominated for an Oscar. That was his big return to film, and I love that movie. He did Iron Man, which I've never been an Iron Man fan. I don't really like those movies. I don't really like blockbusters. I've never been a blockbuster girl. Okay, so without further ado, let's start watching this interview again. It's a 2-part interview. They're both 15 minutes. So it's gonna be half an hour. I'm gonna try to not make it so redundant. So
the Hollywood wilderness is full and feuded with the
I have to
titans of
say
Twisted
that
Town has an opinion on almost everything.
I cried when I watched it. You had to stop it
live from Los Angeles. Mickey, great to see you.
Great to see you.
I heard you mustering before we went to the commercial break. What does uncensored mean? And I would say you are an uncensored man.
Well, I'm my own man.
How have you been? I've interviewed you numerous
Yes.
times over the years. You look in great shape.
Yeah, the COVID thing actually helped me out a little bit because I was able to go around all the different sports shops and get all the workout equipment.
first of all, he has his nails done. They're like French tips and milky whites, and I think that's so badass. He's wearing crystals, like ring crystals. I'm wearing my selenite here. he does look very different. But who cares? I love him. It's all about what's on the inside. I think he's a very handsome man.
Did for close to a year and a half, so I did nothing but like train for, 45 minutes twice a day, and did a lot of reading and soul searching, and kind of tried to figure, I was working out a game plan for the third chapter, and
I love how he says that quarantine and the whole COVID situation helped him become his true self, and that's what I went through. 2020, 2021, very, very big years of change. This year too, 2022. Internal change. I love how he says that he wanted to mold himself for the third chapter, because that's how I've been feeling the last 2 years. I want to mold myself for the second chapter of my life, and connected with that hit me.
trying to go over all the mistakes I made the first two chapters and not making them again, because it just made life difficult for me, and I've said this before, about over 20 years ago, I was in London actually at Blake's Hotel, sitting on the phone with Richard Harris, and Richard gave me some really good advice he said, Mickey, man, he said, listen, you can't beat them. There's too many of them, and they got too much money, and he says, you just gotta pull back, and I got off the phone with Richard, and I thought, nah, I'm gonna do it my way, and I made a big mistake, because Richard had been there before me, and I really was an asshole not to take Richard's sound, good advice that he gave.
What have you learned about yourself?
I love that he said that, because there comes a time in life where you just have to let go and understand that you don't know everything and you don't have the answer to everything. And that's what I'm going through. You just have to stop and let go. And I feel him on that.
Of Mickey, in this, it sounds a fascinating journey you've been on here. What have you learned most about yourself?
It's time to get outdoorsy. It's hot. And Baker's got just what you need.
Well, the biggest thing was I came from a very shameful upbringing, and it was very violent, and it was very physical abuse and mental. And when I left home at like 14 or 15, I didn't realize, I was so happy that the physical pain was over, because that was horrifying. That went on for nearly 10 years, but I didn't realize that it was going to fuck me up in my head, my way of thinking, my way of dealing with people, because you have a choice when you're abused physically. At the time, I wasn't thinking about it mentally. There comes a time, and it happened when I was about 14. And when you're living in shame, there's nothing worse than that. So you got two choices. You either live in shame and you become like a broken soul, a broken person, or you get hard. And I chose to get hard.
Everything he said there, I can relate 1,000%. You see, when he told that story, it hit me. That's why I fell in love with everything about him, and felt that very deep connection through the screen when I was a teen. We have a lot in common. I'm not ready to talk about trauma, but this YouTube is not for that. But we have that in common. We went through similar things. And what he said there really resonates with me.
Not by choice, just by survival.
Yeah,
And
survival mode.
as the
Gotta
years passed,
kick into
and,
survival mode.
I messed everything up that I tried to accomplish. You know, I take blame for it, because by me hitting hard with everything and everybody, alienated me from, I became, as my therapist told me, a scary person to deal with. And I didn't know how to turn the off switch off.
And have you learned, Mickey? Have you learned?
So he said that he became a person that people didn't want to be around, and all that internal anger that's unresolved from the past, all that trauma, if you don't learn to heal from it, if you don't heal from it, you're going to project that into every relationship you have, into every situation you go through, in your career and everything. If you don't get it together and realize where you need to heal and do the work. And his therapist told him that, and that's real. I know what he means.
How to turn that off now?
I've learned, well, it's interesting. I went to therapy for 23 years, and I didn't ever think I would. But the therapist said to me one day, he said, after about 3 or 4 years out of the 23 I went, he said, you have absolutely no regard for repercussions or accountability.
Mm-hmm.
He says, that's just not in your DNA.
His therapist told him that he has no regard for accountability, responsibility, and when somebody tells you that and they know what they're talking about, that hits you and you listen. And you have to start trying to change that, or else you're not going to be successful in this world as a human. You're not. Why do I say all of this? Because everything he's saying and everything I'm saying is what I'm going through. So, this interview is deep.
And I realized with dealing with people who deal from an authoritarian place, producers, who think that they can treat you a certain way because they're the ones with the money and the power. They finally ran into a cat. They didn't give a fuck about their money and
You've
power.
got to watch your language, Mickey. I'm sorry. I'm afraid I have to apologise when you do that. But I understand why you feel this way.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm just saying, you know, people.
So I didn't like how Pierce just interrupted him like that. You're not supposed to cuss, but come on. Like, he's telling a deep story. Don't set him up to fail. Don't do that, Pierce Morgan. Why do you do that?
Of money and power, they really feel that they have this thing where they can treat you a certain way. But
Yeah.
I made a decision
You're an actor.
a long time ago when I was 14 that I got to be a man. And I had to be a man at 14. And later on, as the years went by, even with the success and the destruction of my career, it was always important for me, because of where I came from, to be a man first and an actor second.
I interviewed just before the wrestler came out, and it was incredibly powerful.
Be a man first and an actor second. For me, right now, it's about being, I get exactly what he's saying, but for me now, it's being an actor first and a woman second.
difficult interview because you've been in the wilderness for so long then.
Been in the
And then
wilderness.
suddenly the wrestler came along and propelled you back to the top again. What was that moment like for you?
But I'm back in the wilderness after the wrestling.
You're not really.
I
though,
love
are you?
how
I don't think.
I love how Mickey has a sense of humor about himself, and he doesn't. His interview shows so much growth from what he's been in the past, and I'm just so watching this last week brought tears to my eyes. I was crying. I haven't felt so identified in such a long time. Somebody that I don't personally know.
But not really, because what I learned to do was I wasn't going to let anyone put me on the shelf.
Yeah.
All right?
This is why I'm wearing on my lips.
I've got enough ability.
By the way, he says he was not going to let anyone put him on a shelf. No one. Because he's got it. He knows himself well enough, and he knows he's got an amazing ability as an actor, better than a lot of people. And I like that. I like that winner attitude. So I'm going to pause this really quick to show you what I'm wearing on my lips, if you're wondering. Juicy Tube. By Lancome, color Tickled Pink. I think, I may be wrong, but I remember reading this when I was a teenager, I was 15, 16, when Jennifer's Body came out. And I think this is one of the lip glosses she used in that movie, if I'm not wrong. I'm wearing this lip liner by NYX Espresso. It's a good one. It's cheap. It's like $4 on Amazon or something like that. Aladdin by MAC. This is... I'm so annoyed because the packaging is like coming apart. I don't like that. And I accidentally, not accidentally, but I left this in the desert inside my car in 102-degree weather, and Calico Ghost Town in Yermo here in California, and it melted. So that's why it looks so ghetto, atrocious, because not that the ghetto is atrocious, but it's a little so melted. So I had to put it in the freezer when I came back from my vacation. And after Calico, I went to Vegas. Oh my God. No. Look what happened. It broke. Oh my God. I don't know why I'm complaining. I mean, I have so much makeup. Why am I complaining? It's just, I was already pissed this melted, and now it's just broke. And this is how much I have left now. At least it broke in a video. Ugh. Glass half full, right? Not half empty. Look, it broke. It's retarded. Alright, so I'm wearing this, as you can see, and now I'm gonna have to use it with like a brush or something. I really like this color. It's called Friend Like Me from the Aladdin collection by MAC. This came out 4 years ago, so they don't have this anymore. Oh, look, the packaging is so cute. Anyways, that's what I'm wearing. And then this by Victoria's Secret. I don't think they sell this anymore. This is color Iced. Ugh, I am so upset. Okay, let's continue with the reaction video.
Got more ability than most actors that are walking around. And if I could just behave myself, there's a lot of young up and coming directors that aren't afraid of how I used to be perceived.
Behave yourself.
When you
Very
see,
important.
Vicky, when you see
yourself.
someone like Tom Cruise, you know,
When you know you got issues, but you have an immense talent and work ethic, you realize that all you really have to do is just learn how to have contempt and behave yourself. And then you'll be successful. And the fact that he's realized that now, I'm so happy. I realized this recently too. Like, there's nothing stopping me in the way of success except my attitude, the anger that I have, you know, the annoyance I have with people. Now, Pierce Morgan's gonna ask me about Tom Cruise. Out of left field, Pierce Morgan does this all the time. He's like setting him up to fail. He just gave such a heartfelt, amazing, beautiful story, and then he's gonna ask him about Tom Cruise, which, me knowing Mickey Rourke, I know he's not gonna like that. Of course he's not.
grossing $1 billion with Top Gun.
He asked me about Top
sequel,
Gun.
35 years or so after the first one. What do you think of that?
That doesn't mean shit to me. The guy's been doing the same effing part for 35 years, you know? I got no respect for that.
Really?
I don't give it, really, brother. I don't care about
Really,
money
brother.
and power. I care about when I watch Al Pacino work and Chris Walken and De Niro's early work and Richard Harris's work and Ray Winstone's work. That's the kind of actor I want to be, like Monty Clift
Same.
and Brando back in the day.
Same.
A lot of guys that just tried to stretch as actors and be the.
You don't think Tom Cruise is a...
Same, Mick. I'm the same way. I love real actors. The magic, the passion I feel when I watch an amazing actor from way back it's unlike anything else. That's how I feel too. But one thing I don't agree with here is there comes a point in time that you have to understand that everybody can win. And I feel like you should have handled that question a little better, Mickey. But he's telling the truth. Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise, though. Like, he's not Marlon Brando. He's not Al Pacino. He's Tom Cruise. And he's not that bad. I think he's an amazing movie star. I've always loved Tom Cruise. He serves his purpose. He's a movie star, and he makes a lot of money, and he is charismatic. And a lot of people can learn a lot from him. I know I have since I was a kid. So
Is he a good actor?
he asks Mickey
I think
if
he's
he's a good
irrelevant in my world.
and Mickey says he's irrelevant in my world.
Fascinating. Mickey, hold it there. We're going to take a short break.
And he's like, fascinating. Pierce Morgan. The headline everywhere is Mickey Rourke calls Tom Cruise irrelevant. He didn't call him irrelevant. What he said, he's irrelevant in my world. Yeah. What's wrong with that?
And we'll be back after the break to talk to you about, I'm talking about cancel culture and about Vladimir Putin. Welcome back. I'm with Mickey Rourke. Mickey, I want to ask you about cancel culture. What do you make of this weird phenomenon that we now will have to operate under?
About what?
Cancel culture.
I don't have any opinion on all that.
I mean, what do you think when you see people being cancelled for having an opinion?
Pierce asks Mickey, how does he feel about cancel culture? And Mickey's like, I don't have an opinion on that. And then Pierce asks him, how do you feel about people just being canceled for having their opinion, which is ridiculous that this world is like that. now. I grew up in a world where you could have an opinion, you could say rude things, you could say how you feel, as long as they're not hurting anyone, right? But now everything's so PC.
That happens all the time. It's nothing new.
Do you think he's right?
I would have to be given a specific case.
Well, I'll give you one.
So Pierce asks Mickey if it's right that people get canceled, and Mickey's like, well, I have to be given a specific scenario, and I agree. Give me the scenario and I'll tell you if the person should be canceled or not. Now, listen to what Pierce says.
Macy Gray, the singer, came on my show last week and said what her definition of a woman was. And she got so much abuse for her honest opinion that she had to go on the Today Show in America and effectively back down on her opinion, which I thought was ridiculous. There's an example of the kind of mob mentality.
I don't think anybody should have to apologize for what their personal opinion is on any matter.
Agreed.
Unless their personal opinion is very narrow-minded and it's going to hurt other people.
You said some interesting stuff about Vladimir Putin after you met him in 2014. You wore a T-shirt with his picture on it.
Yeah, that was 2014. Okay?
No, that's what I said, yeah. So I wanted to ask you whether you're...
I just want to make that clear, okay?
Yeah.
I went over there in 2014, and it was some sort of event where some entertainers from the States came over, and
I remember this.
dancing with Sharon Stone, and he actually was singing a song on a piano, and then he invited me specifically to go to his hometown in St. Petersburg to visit a home that took care of little tiny children that had kind of incurable cancer.
He's got such a big heart, Mickey does.
That was really heartbreaking to go to, and I was talking to all these little kids, and I remember I gave a rosary of mine to one of the little girls, and I looked over at concern about where we were, and someone who was empathetic, and he was there for a sincere reason.
But how do you square that, Mickey, with the guy we see now illegally invading Ukraine and bombing little children to pieces every single day?
People change.
That's the thing that blows my mind, because it's like
it's so
it's
wrong.
like two brother countries, and it's like
People
I don't
change.
understand what he wants. And
Money
it's
gets in
like
people's
not only combatants are getting
brain.
killed, but old people are getting killed, young people are getting killed, schools are getting targeted, hospitals are getting targeted. You know, all that shit's not right. You know, I saw a guy, an image of a man who was looking in a hole in a ditch, and he was looking for.
This hits me. He gets so emotional. He gets so emotional. This man has such depth. That's why he's such an
And I
amazing
put myself in his
actor.
position. He was looking for his brother, and that kind of struck home with me and bothered me a lot, and made me think he's doing really terrible, bad things. And I wish some kind of little bell would ring in his head or his heart, and he'd wake up and just stop all this shit. And then I saw a picture of a man, an old man, laying shot on a bicycle, and an old woman shot on a bicycle. But the image that bothered me the most was I saw this old man holding a little gray kitten, and the old man survived his house being bombed.
That's tough. That's so tough.
And
When you're
he
an
lost
empath,
5 family members.
these things get to you.
And the only thing he had about. The only thing he had was
He puts his
this
shades
little gray
on
kitty.
so
And
people don't see him
I
cry.
looked at that image, that fucking image. Sorry. And I said, how can I have
This is
anything
live,
to
so
worry about?
you know, Pierce Morgan's probably
Losing
getting in
movie,
trouble for all the
somebody
cursing
saying
that
bad
Mickey's
shit
doing.
about
But
me,
Mickey's really
or I'm having
into
a bad
it.
day, and I'm looking at this old guy holding a little kitty that crawled out from the rubble. And that's all he had. And he lost 5 family members. And ever since that day,
He's getting so emotional. And now he throws a water bottle.
I've said prayers for that man. And for the 2 old people I saw on the street. And
Mickey, I'm gonna have to end the interview, but what I want to do, if it's okay with you, I want to carry it on.
all I want to say,
I'm going to carry
I'm
on
gonna
after we'll carry on, Mickey, after we come off air, and I'll record it for later in the week. Okay?
All right.
He cut him off. This is the first part. There's the second part. I'm not gonna review that, but I hate how Pierce Morgan cut Mickey Rourke off while he was telling a heartfelt story. I know he had to get off air. It was just kind of rude. However, there is a part 2, and Pierce is nicer in this part. So if you want to watch it, go YouTube it. Thank you for joining me. I love Mickey Rourke. This interview is extremely inspiring, and people are taking it the wrong way. And I'm just glad Mickey's words. People are taking it the wrong way and making a headline out of something that the interview is not about. So I'm glad Mickey Rourke has a supporter in me. That makes the video defending him. Because every reaction video is like talking crap about Mickey, and I'm like, you guys don't know Mickey Rourke like I do. Alright, so thank you for watching, and join me on my next video. Bye.